All right, we're now recording. So one more time as a reminder, if you have not already done so, appreciate everybody who has already. Please put your name into the group chat and the street that you live on. All right. Let me share the agenda. Maybe. All right. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
Well, we see the top of it.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Scrolling down,
There
scrolling
we
down.
go. There we go.
All right. Okay. Agenda 6:30. We're a few minutes late. Welcome, everybody. As a reminder, one more time, if you have not already done so, please put your name into the chat and the street that you live on. Sorry, I keep getting these things to let people in. Okay, so let's go through this. So we're going to go through the meeting minutes, and Marcy is going to talk about that. We're then going to talk about the air toxins letter. And I have Grant as a presenter on that, and Greg has also attended. Thanks, Greg. We're going to talk about the homeless letter that we have put out, and Chris and Casey are going to talk to that. Member engagement, the weekly update, and the weekly update for, sorry, the work stream for the weekly update. And Cassie's going to talk about that. Update for the Treasury. We're going to talk about the general meeting. The board is going to go through board reports, and then we will adjourn at 8:15. One thing that I would like to do is, so the air toxins letter, looks like we have that for 25 minutes. I would like to change that to 15. So this would be 6:55. Hold on. I don't think we need to talk about that for that long. And then I would like, whoops, this is the wrong dang one. Did I? No, I didn't. Okay. And then I would like to leave this one so that we give an additional 10 minutes for the homeless letter. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other changes that people would like to make? Okay. May I have somebody make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. This is Brad.
Okay, Brad makes a motion. Any second?
This is Casey, I'll second.
Casey second. Thank you. Any opposition to approving the meeting minutes as amended?
For the meeting agenda.
Agenda, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's okay.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, then first up, Marcy, you're up.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Meeting. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God. Sorry. What was I discussing?
Meeting minutes.
Oh, whether, okay. So the discussion was, since the meetings aren't being recorded, I am generally recording the movements and who was here. So that's why we asked everybody to sign in. I have a lot of people on the talk that have not signed in or identified themselves. So please do that so we can get you listed for future votes and stuff like that. I guess that's what I'm recording, as well as moves, right?
Yeah, so I will remind people again, yeah, if you have not done so already, please put your name in chat along with the street that you live on. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of the meeting minutes, I think you sent out meeting minutes for October
and December.
And December. Did any of the board members have any comments on either of those?
I forwarded some minor
Yes.
corrections to Marcy.
I got
Okay.
those. Thank you, Brad.
Mhm.
Were those changes made and then sent out again to the board?
No, I did not send them out yet again, but I will make the changes and get them out tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I just got them to her. That's my fault.
Oh, you
Sorry.
did? Okay. All right, well then, I don't want to approve minutes that we haven't looked at, so let's push that to the next board meeting.
Did everybody else get to see them, and did anybody else have any changes?
Only one I was confused about. Remind me who our land use chairs are. Sorry, guys. I lost the names.
It's fine. It's Brian Yarn and Michael Payne.
Yes.
Okay. I think that needs to be fixed, Marcy.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I
think
had
you got-
Grant Phillips
I think you
instead of
had-
Michael Yarn.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah, he's sustainability.
Great. Thank you very much.
Good catch, Brad.
All right. Let's push. So Marcy, will you update the minutes and then send them out to the board and then we can approve them?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
So is this the time to confirm that we still need to record meeting minutes even though we're recording the meeting?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay. I think that's what's supposed to happen. It's an interestingly tough thing to find, but there's a lot of discussion about having a recorded meeting and so that you can get the minutes done and then the recording goes away. But in today's world, things are a little different, but I think we still have to record the minutes because that's the official documentation of the meeting.
Yeah, I believe that's the case. The question is, at least when I started a million years ago, we just had to record like the actions, the
Yep.
motions, and the votes, right? So I think before we were taking pretty detailed notes so that people could follow, but I think perhaps, and the board we can talk about this. Perhaps we just talk about or we just record the actions and the votes and the motions. And then we keep the recording.
Mhm. And we post the meeting minutes and we have the recording as well, and that's up on the website, right?
Yep.
Yes. Yes, the minutes get sent in to update on the website, which is mostly what we have recorded, like she said, the movements and decisions, letters.
So let's keep doing both. I think that makes sense. Let's just make sure we record the
And I
motions.
also record who attended so that when we do votes, you are identified. So if you are in the neighborhood and you have not signed in who you are, I will not know when we go to vote in future events.
Yeah. So let me say that one more time because there might have been a couple of people that joined. If you have not done so already, please put your name and the street that you live on in chat. All right. So let's move on, unless there's any other discussion on the meeting minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, the air toxins letter that was sent out on Sunday. Hopefully everybody got a chance to read it. Grant, are you on? And
Yep.
Greg?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Can you guys give a quick 5-minute presentation on the air toxins, summary of the air toxins letter? I believe this was a letter that we approved last year or the year before. And so what we're doing now, since we have a new board, is we're reapproving that letter, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I invited Greg here from Portland Clean Air. He has some, I think, additional data that's come up since the original drafting of the letter. which is addressed to the Union Pacific Railroad and addresses sort of volatile organic compound emissions and unfiltered diesel emissions, specifically from the Albina rail yard, which is one of sort of the major sources of that pollution in the area. And I think, yeah, Greg, if you want to talk about sort of the data and the effects of the diesel emissions related to that.
Sure. So yeah, this has been discussed. This is my third meeting with Overlook's board. So what we previously discussed was a report from the National Emissions Inventory of the EPA that the rail yard was emitting 14,778 pounds of VOCs annually. So that was the concern. There is a thermal oxidizer that's designed specifically for rail to truck transfers, which they are not using, which would remove 99% of those emissions. So that was the concern. But new information has come up since the last time I met with the board, which has been over a year ago. Clean Air Oregon has released a lot of data about VOC emissions from all the other industries in Small Island. So what we've been trying to understand is what the folks in Overlook are smelling, because I've knocked on every door in Overlook myself. And I went by a second time with a staff person, and again, a year later, knocked on every door. And folks are reporting just extreme VOC emissions being experienced by their houses, which we've only ever seen at Hayden Island, where people are also very affected by VOCs. At no other part in this place in the city do I see people so upset about or so descriptive about these VOC events, running around, closing all the windows and that kind of thing. So one of them is, so Daimler and Vigor are emitting. According to the Clean Air Oregon reports, Daimler is emitting 500 pounds annually of VOCs, and Vigor is emitting,
5,782.
Yes. So there's a professor at the University of Portland who I recently talked with, and his students and himself did the smell studies on Vigor and Daimler. Vigor responded to those smell studies, which they paid half for, by shutting down $1 million waste treatment program, which was causing a lot of the smells. And now they're working on addressing Daimler. So those two industries do have a proximity, and they are close. But I believe that the rail yard is responsible for a lot of these events. It appears that the wind is blowing predominantly towards Overlook, not north, and not towards the Pearl or northwest, the one above the Pearl. I think the wind predominantly blows right to Overlook. That's because no one else around the industrial area seems to report this. So that's the big concern, is the VOCs. But second, I just got new information from the EPA's National Emissions Inventory reporting diesel particulate coming out of the rail yard. It appears that the rail yard right next door there by the highway has the highest concentration of diesel particulate in the state, according to the EPA's National Emissions Inventory. And they also released a number for the amount of diesel particulate coming out of the yard. So we took that number, we wrote a report on it. It's available if you want to read it. Where we calculate out the cancer risk from the diesel particulate using California's health assessment numbers. And so we compared that to the cancer risk from other industries, which has been recently published by Clean Air Oregon. And it would make the Union Pacific Rail Yard the fourth most dangerous stationary industrial air polluter in the 3-county Portland area because of diesel particulate alone. So it seems like they probably should change. They were approached recently by citizens asking them to relocate, and they asked the citizens to provide $25,000 to pay for the study. For instance, Southeast Uplift provided $8,000. There was fundraising that happened mostly from developers, and they paid for the study. And I believe the response they got was, okay, well, thanks, and we're not going to relocate. So I'm not sure if they're really being very responsible, the Union Pacific operation. It seems like they need to be approached. We've been outreaching since we talked to you last. Currently, 45 Portland Neighborhood Association boards are now participating through a liaison, such as including Overlook, as well as 14 churches and synagogues and 6 other organizations. We haven't had the money to sufficiently reach all the participants with the Overlook letter, but so far about 20 organizations have endorsed.
Perfect. All right, so as I mentioned, we had endorsed this previously. So the question to the board is, first of all, do you have any questions? Second,
Yes.
um,
This is Brad Halverson.
yeah.
Question as far as the thermal oxidizer, how much would that cost to install, I guess? And then the second part is, how much would it lower the VOCs? And that wouldn't change the diesel particulates, right? So it's kind of 3 questions.
So if you look at the regenerative thermal oxidizer on Arkland, they spent $5 million. That cost about 80%. Most of 80% of that cost is the fact that it's regenerative, which basically captures 95% of the heat and it lowers the fuel cost by 95% by capturing the heat. Energy Trust of Oregon has talked to me. They're willing to participate in paying for the extra cost of regenerative thermal oxidizers. So, I mean, I think they could put one up for 100,000, 200,000, but they'd be expensive for fuel. These folks have plenty of money. They just are in a state that has no regulation.
Yeah, understood. I just wasn't sure what kind of number we're talking about.
Yeah, I've seen anywhere from a couple 100,000 to 5 million for a thermal oxidizer. One just went up on Apes, Clear Lube, and by Hayden Island, and so there's a bunch of them up around the county.
So there are good examples for them. Okay.
Yeah.
And then does that do anything to the diesel particulate?
It removes 95% of the VOCs. It has no effect on the diesel particulate. The diesel particulate would have to be them switching their contracts from unfiltered trucks over to filtered trucks. We've used ODOT and DMV records to publish a spreadsheet of every truck in the 3-county Portland area by fleet and their mix of filtered to unfiltered trucks. But since they're operating these trucks, right in through neighborhoods full of people, it seems like they could switch to filtered trucks, which is a big campaign led by the Elliott Neighborhood Association.
And is the filtered trucks the ones that they only allow filtered trucks in California? Or is that a different deal?
Yeah, by 2015, there was virtually no unfiltered trucks left in California. And we recently found out that trucks that come in from out of state here in Oregon, that operate here in Oregon, we're about to get that data. It's they have to have special registration. They're an out-of-state truck registered to operate in Oregon. It seems like California has something similar. So even the out-of-state trucks coming to California, they have to have filters too, apparently. So yeah, people in California don't really experience this. And right now we're in the worst 1.3% of counties in the nation for exposure to diesel particulate, according to the EPA's last 3-year assessment.
Thank you.
All right, any additional questions from the board?
Yeah, just a quick one. This is Michael Payne, and just in regards to going after the or sending a letter to the people who are doing the polluting, is there any way to include the state to start looking at changing those regulatory elements?
For diesel particulate, the state has gutted the diesel bill. They're basically, the rule is they have to take all those trucks and register them out of county in 10 years. That was the action they asked them to do. So we're pretty unhappy with the statewide diesel bill. Just this year, when we voted, Oregon voted to end corporate donations to politicians. Currently, we're in the top we're the second most expensive state legislature elections in the nation, behind only New Jersey, because of corporate funding of elections here. But that's been banned in the city. We got 90% of the signatures for that. It's been banned in the county, and now it's been banned in the state. all by very high margins. So that'll change the mix of how corporations control our state elections, and in the future may lead to environmental legislation. But in lieu of that, we've been working on going after the fleets and the companies responsible instead of asking the state for legislation.
Thanks.
All right, any additional questions for the board?
Yes. I have a quick question. So basically these pollution reduction pieces would be installed on each piece of equipment, and you're talking about trucks, and it's being addressed to Union Pacific down at the Albina yard. Do they actually have their own trucks, or are they bringing the trucks from elsewhere on Swan Island to be offloaded with containers and whatnot and then sent out? So aren't those separate companies that have those trucks?
The thermal oxidizer can be installed to take in displacement of air that happens on trucks and trains that have these chemical cars. Right now, the displacement of air is going right directly into the air, and then it's floating over the Overlook neighborhood. That's what it seems like what's going on. But the thermal oxidizer would destroy those VOCs before they went airborne. In terms of diesel particulate, they would have to have other companies who are contracting with the Albina yard. They would have to have those trucking companies be choosing filtered trucks over unfiltered trucks. That's certainly a bit more complicated. This letter doesn't so much go into that. It mentions that it's a problem, but it doesn't go into a specific request. It seems like that would have to be a discussion between the Overlook board and a representative of Union Pacific to find some sort of reasonable solution, because the state allows it, but that doesn't mean that Portland residents have to.
Okay, so my question basically was, though, this equipment you're talking about wouldn't be going on the locomotives down there. This would be going on Class 8 diesel trucks.
For VOCs, they just installed this kind of suction device that they displace air into, and that would any truck or any train that was doing a transfer could hook into this device, and then the VOCs would all be destroyed. For diesel particulate, they'd have to be a device goes in every truck, as they do in California. And you can't really put devices on an old truck like pre-2008. Retrofits cost $16,000 each, and they're not really a good investment for an old truck. So that's just about contracting with fleets that use filters as opposed to those that don't.
Does this thermal oxidizer make a ton of noise?
No, it's basically a giant Bic lighter, and it's burning off the VOCs before they go airborne.
All right, any additional questions for Greg? Does anybody want to make a motion to re-endorse this letter?
I originally signed it, so I will recommend that we re-endorse this letter. This is Chris.
Thanks. Chris, thanks.
I second Cynthia.
Cynthia, thank you. All right, any further discussion?
Just want to say thank you for all the time and effort that went into this. Appreciate it, Greg. And
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
It's been a pleasure. And to clarify, this letter is from the Overlook Neighborhood Association Board. It has many endorsements on it, and I think that it is ready to send. I think it's always good to gather more endorsements, but we'll be doing that even after it's sent because there'll be replies and so on. But I would say at this point, it's a good moment to send it. And then expect a response, which I can help you to understand their response but ultimately this negotiation would be between the Overlook Board and Union Pacific, backed by all these other organizations that really want to see this resolved.
Perfect, thanks, Greg. Any opposition from the board to the motion? Great. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. And can I ask a few quick questions? So who do I contact? There's 9 letters now, of which the Overlook letter is one of. And there's a request by other neighborhood association boards that the Overlook board endorse their letters. Who should I be contacting to be sending those letters to so that the board can consider these letters?
I would assume we can, I'm not sure if we already have a letter, if we would need to endorse other letters, you could just send them our letter.
No, I'm saying that, for instance, Linton is dealing with the tank farms, which the Seismic Commission of Oregon has said will be like Fukushima during Cascadia. They would like those tanks relocated. That's
Gotcha.
one of 9 industries that are being addressed.
Sure.
And so I'd like to ask the Overlook board to consider those letters from other neighbor associations to consider endorsing them. But I wonder if there's a person who I could be sending the letters to, could be a liaison to the board.
Yeah, if these are sustainability, so please send them to Grant as our sustainability chair, and then he will present it to the board.
I'll do that.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. All right, back to the agenda. Chris and Casey, you guys are up.
Great. So everyone saw that we've included a letter regarding promises that the city has made with respect to homelessness in Portland, both promises to the homeless residents of the city and promises to neighborhoods. I trust everyone has had a chance to read it, so I won't belabor it too much, but a quick summary. We're asking for 4 things from the city.
Sorry, I'm opening it back up. I'd lost it, so.
That's all right. The first one is that the city, let me just open it up. Sorry, everyone.
Sorry, I'm going to share here in a second.
The first is that the city would open small and large managed outdoor shelters in all parts of the city. Our thinking here was in alignment with the outdoor shelters that have been opened in response to COVID-19 on the East Bank and downtown. We'd also like the city to construct managed homeless villages in all parts of the city, modeled on the Kenton Women's Village and the soon to open St. John's Village, which we think are successful models for how to help homeless residents and provide them shelter in a place that they can receive wraparound services. At the same time, the city's made promises to neighborhoods, and we'd like them to close unsanctioned campsites located in parks, on waterways, and public paths, as well as camps where illegal activity has been documented. This is language that was adopted by several North Portland neighborhoods and some nonprofits last year. We're simply re-endorsing that and suggesting that, it's time to really make the parks places that people can go again. There are some parks in the city that have basically become off limits to regular users and are suffering environmental damage. And finally, we're asking that the city close Hazelnut Grove. I think as a lot of people on this call probably know, in the neighborhood, two mayors have been promising that the Hazelnut Grove site would be closed down, mostly because it's a dangerous site. It's not a safe place for people to live. There are air toxic issues, as we just heard. It's right next to the rail yards. It's right next to the highway. There's talk that there's soil issues. I've never been able to confirm that, but the word is there used to be some battery storage or manufacture that went on there. It's in a wildfire hazard zone, and it's also in a landslide zone. So it's never been a good place. When it first started, Mayor Hales suggested that it would be closed down within weeks. That became months, and then he was out of office. And Mayor Wheeler made similar promises, both on the campaign trail and then shortly after he was elected, and he visited the neighborhood association. Obviously, it's 4 years later, and it hasn't happened. But a year or two ago, the talk was, once Hazelnut Grove has a place that residents can go, it was time to close it down. And the good news is that there is a place for Hazelnut residents to go, and that's the St. John's Village. The city is opening that village, and from the beginning has had the intention to offer Hazelnut Grove residents the opportunity to move to St. John's in a place that would be legal, would be better. There are actual constructed pods there instead of the buildings that they have at Hazelnut Grove, which are not professionally designed or built. And there would be wraparound services through Do Good Multnomah. Now, some of the people that are at Hazelnut Grove have elected not to go there. And I know that the Joint Office of Homeless Services has worked with them to try and connect them to other shelters, other service providers, and opportunities so that the city can finally make good on its promise to close Hazelnut Grove and restore that natural area to public use in Overlook. I had a call today from the mayor's office. They insist that that remains their intent. They do want to do that. The word is that the St. John's Village has been slightly delayed. Not surprising given COVID-19. Right now it's looking like February 1st will be the open date. And after that, the mayor's office would continue to pursue then closing down the Hazelnut Grove site. The letters obviously sparked a lot of interest. There's a lot of people on the call tonight. We've gotten some emails, we've gotten some comments online, just to give you a sense of what we've heard. It's basically broken 3-1 in favor of Overlook endorsing this letter and calling on the city to keep promises across the board to everyone. 24-8 are the actual numbers. One of the big points that people have expressed support for in the letter is the call for the city to make this a citywide issue, that it's no longer appropriate to just be putting camps in certain neighborhoods, and that every neighborhood should be both welcoming to and supporting some sort of city-sanctioned organized campsite, because we have that much need in the city. This is a crisis, and it's going to take all hands on deck to do it. That's something that the Overlook Neighborhood Association has supported for years, and we're reiterating it here, that this is a big concern, and all neighborhoods should be involved in the solution. When it comes to the criticism we often hear, well, where would you put it in Overlook? I would suggest, as I have often suggested, that there are sites down on Swan Island that would be totally appropriate for a managed site or a village in the Kenton Women's Village or St. John's Village model. So with that, Alex and I talked about it, and normally at board meetings, we don't take public comment, but tonight we want to, because we know that there's a lot of passion on this issue. So we'd like to hear from anyone on the call that has thoughts on this letter. We're going to limit comments to 1 minute per person, and we're going to kind of strictly enforce that because there's now 38 people on this call. If everybody talks, we're here for a while. We'd like to keep it somewhat manageable and respect everybody's time. And we ask you as a speaker to respect everyone else and try not to go over 1 minute. I think Alex will be monitoring that. So with that, if you'd like to speak, please put a note in chat, and Alex will recognize you, and you will then have 1 minute to share your thoughts.
Great. All right, yeah, as Chris mentioned, please put, please just say if you'd like to chat. So I have Anna, hopefully I pronounced your name right.
I've been living in Overlook for 6 years. I saw Hazelnut Grove come to fruition, and I've seen the work that they've done. I've actually not gone down and talked with the residents there. I'm currently working with C3PO. I'm in a volunteer capacity, which I don't know if you know about those camps, but they're located down on Water and Main Street and in the Old Town neighborhood. And they're self-regulated camps, and they're self-governed, as is Hazelnut Grove. And I would like to see Hazelnut Grove not be pushed out right now, because while I think that it is an unsafe place and there are problems with being in a fire hazard zone, I think that more neighborhood involvement, like neighbors actually checking to see that they have fire safety in place, or neighbors actually checking to see what the Hazelnut Grove is really all about would be better. And I just think this is a poor timing in terms of COVID to say, you may have been stable here for all this time, but now go to this, because St. John's is temporary. I read the View article.
All right.
St. John's is temporary.
Minute
Thank
is
you.
up. You can finish up, please. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Anna. Anna, was it Anna or Anna?
You did it right, Anna.
Okay. I'll comment. Becca.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Becca. I live on Killingsworth. I did send the board a letter about my concerns. Really, I just can't fathom that this is a smart thing to do during COVID in the middle of a pandemic and in winter. I know that there are some residents of Hazelnut Grove who are interested in moving. I understand that there will be about 6 people moving to St. John's, but that does leave 9 residents still at Hazelnut Grove, where they have been for 5 years. And I just can't, in good faith, think that it's okay for my neighbors to force them out of their home for 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? I will also. Sam, did I say that right? Oh, wait.
Yeah, hello. My name is Sam. Thanks so much for having this meeting and including the public comments. I really appreciate it. I also wrote to the board today. I feel strongly that...
Could you, sorry to interrupt, could you talk a little bit louder? I barely hear you.
How's that? Is that better?
A little
Yes,
better, yeah.
thank you.
Okay. So I spoke with a resident yesterday who does not want to move, and they expressed the views that the people who are remaining there don't want to move. And I agree with the comments that have been made about this being a very poor time to reassert the need for this to occur now. I think that a reassessment post-COVID in more temperate months would be wiser, and that we would be well served by asking these residents what their needs currently are and how we can support them to stay in their homes. My home is special to me. I've been here for 2 years and I love it, and I would be heartbroken if I had to leave against my will. And I understand there are services available, and that's amazing. And I commend every single person, including, I just appreciate everyone talking about this issue. I just want us to make sure that the people who...
All right, I'm sorry, but time, that was 1 minute.
Conversation. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, I did skip you on accident. Can you tell me how to pronounce your name? I'm gonna slaughter it. Siobhan?
Siobhan, yes. Hello.
Siobhan.
Yeah, I would like to echo just some of these sentiments as well. The timing is not just inappropriate, but inhumane. It is January during a pandemic, and I would like to cite what Jojo dropped in the chat as well, where the CDC says that we are better off letting them stay rather than relocating them. And also, there is no actual plan outlined in this letter for what that relocation process even looks like. And based on the way the city has relocated other camps, violence is going to be involved, and I will not stand for that or accept that in my neighborhood, if I can help it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to track here. Laura, I think you're next.
Hi, thank you. The lighting in my space is bad. I'm Laura Bullock. I've lived in the neighborhood for 25 years. And I just also am here to support what everyone has said so far. I don't need to reiterate, but I am very supportive of all of the arguments that have been made so far. And yeah, I want to see what happen to the folks at Hazelnut Grove right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Brad, I think you're next.
Thank you. I received a couple of emails from my neighbors on the subject, and their concern, a big part of it is getting the garbage picked up so that if, whether that's dealt with in this letter or we address it separately, it's important, and I agree with it. The amount of garbage, and sometimes it's left over from abandoned campsites, sometimes it's just waiting to be picked up. But we need a better process on that, and that would not require a lot of contact with the actual campers, thus exposing folks potentially to COVID, which is a concern, and that's why the city hasn't done as much as they could have. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I know the board members are going to talk. Sorry about, I was, should not have comment, Brad. Booth.
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone. Again, thank you. And same, echo everyone's comment. There's, January is not the time to do this. And on top of that, we have other bigger issues and other ways we can assess this and address this matter. This letter does not reflect who I am. I've lived here several years. I love it. I've seen it grow. I've been involved in other programs. And again, this is very upsetting. And I just hope that we can come together as neighbors and come with better solutions, because this is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Grant.
Hey.
Philip. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to second, I think, what we've kind of heard from a lot of the people speaking. I don't think that this letter reflects the best that we can do. And I think the timing with the pandemic and being in the midst of winter would be really inhumane to try and move people at this point. I think also, having read about the recent sweep at Laurelhurst and knowing that people don't want to move, I mean, it's great that there are these options at St. John's, but I think there are people who, you know, I think the self-governed aspect of the village is important to some of the people living there, and I don't know if St. John's has really addressed that. So I think that that needs to be taken into account as well.
All right. Marigold.
Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be a part of this meeting and appreciate everyone's comments so far. Again, echoing a lot of the sentiments that have been shared so far, but really wanting to say that many of the folks, many of our neighbors at Hazelnut Grove have been living there longer than I've been living in this neighborhood. And since moving here, I've just seen some of the resources and support and benefited from that from my neighbors here in Overlook. And I would just love to see those resources that we have available to us extended to our neighbors to support them in living safely, you know, happier, and again, really to support their well-being during this really challenging time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Christy? Christy Hudson?
Oh, hi. I was just, I just had a question that I put into the chat.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I was just wanting to know more information about how the residents of Hazelnut Grove, particularly those who are wanting to stay, have been involved in this conversation, the decision, the letter writing. I just feel it's really inappropriate for this body to make this decision on behalf of people who I'm not hearing represented in this conversation, at least.
Yeah, it looks like Chris did respond to that. Okay. Anybody else? Did I miss anybody? All right. It does not look like it. Going once, going twice. Anybody else? Jojo. Did I say that right?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Are you gonna see me? Hi, I'm JoJo. I have personally only lived in Overlook for about 7 to 8 months now. But I have experienced housing instability in my past, and I would have been considered houseless for only a week in my life, and it was the longest week of my life. And just reading this comment that Hazelnut Grove residents were a little more involved with the Overlook Neighborhood Association, and now they're not as much, I can understand that, because even though I'm housed now, I feel really uncomfortable with this letter and just the way that it isn't taking into account the people that actually live there and have been living there for years. So I very much do not support this letter. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Iris.
Hi, I just want to echo everything that has been said previously. I am 100% in agreement with everything that has been stated, excluding the concerns, Brad's concerns about trash. I think that's a much lower level priority to someone's health and well-being and their home. But I also just feel like this letter doesn't really represent the neighborhood and what possibilities are. I was upset that they said they're gonna move Hazelnut Grove or oust it, but then use that space for public use, but after saying it was not a safe place. And I live near a lot of encampments and folks living, and I've never had a problem. I've never been bothered, and I'm much more bothered by this letter and the attitude about Hazelnut Grove that's just persisted in my time living here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll do one more. Robin, and then we're going to open it up to the board.
Hi, I've been living in Overlook for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, and on and off before that. And I would like to echo everyone else's sentiments that have spoken tonight about how I disagree with the values that this puts from our neighborhood, because I don't believe that this is what we value as a neighborhood. I live here and I work between here and St. John's, and my job is basically behind one of the local encampments. And I have a lot of experience working with different groups in the county to make neighborhoods safe with and without those communities. And I think that it's most important to make them safer now. And I really disagree with displacing people in the middle of winter during a pandemic. I think it is wrong and inhumane and not what this neighborhood stands for. So I would like to consider better ways to band resources together, because I know that we have them. We have communications, we have networks, we have people, and I would really like for us to use what we have to make this safer with those people, because they need it much more than we do. That's all I have to say.
All right, thanks. Okay, opened up for board discussion. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, real quick, Alex, are there people who've not been let in?
Shouldn't be.
Okay, because I just got a resident asking.
Collins and having a contact number for Collins.
Okay, then scratch it.
Okay. Anybody from the board?
Before the board, there were 2 people who need to call in. Is there a call-in number? Thanks.
I'm sorry? Somebody asking me something?
Is there a call-in number? There are 2 people who would like to call in.
Okay, public comments closed.
Yeah, public comments
But
closed.
just be aware, they certainly can listen.
I can go try to find it. Yeah. Anybody from the board want to comment?
So this is Brad Halverson again. Okay. Here's my concern. So we've got 9 folks who are going to be down at Hazelnut Grove. I'm not so worried about it taking another couple of months till we get into better weather, and hopefully we have more folks vaccinated by then so that COVID risks are less. That doesn't bother me. The fact that the camp was established illegally and because it's been there a long time, therefore it legitimizes it. I do have a problem with that. My son happens to ride through there now, and says it can be pretty intimidating along the path, of which that path is going to have a whole lot more activity as the summer comes along and the Adidas work is done. We never said that these folks wouldn't have another place to go. It's just a matter of that location is bad. It's bad for all the reasons that we talked about. Yes, there are a lot of problems with other locations as well that are even less legitimate, but that one is bad. The diesel particulate, the noise, the fire, and the landslide risk are all very real.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Other board members?
Well, this is Casey. I was going to make a chime in that I support the letter and its intent. It's been 5 years, over 5 years now that the camp has been there, and the viable solution is to find another space, safe space, and this is what we're looking for, and this is what we're seeking. This is what's been agreed upon by the city. It's just simply telling the city to make good on what they are proposing to do. So I support every element of this letter.
All right, thank you, Casey. Other board members?
Yes, George here.
George?
And so I understand all the concerns about being heartless and whatnot, and I'm in support of the letter because it's, to me, like the previous thing, it's reaffirming a stand that we've had for some time and that the city has not followed through on. And it's simply reminding them that they need to follow through and act on what they said they were going to do. I don't anticipate that it's going to be happening immediately. Apparently it sounds like there's some folks that are going to make a transition, but I support it because something needs to happen, and we just need to let the city know that we're still concerned about this and something needs to be done. And just letting it slide like it has in many other neighborhoods doesn't solve the problem. So we need to remind them that we are concerned and they need to act. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members?
This is Michael and Michael Payne, and I would just ask, I know that in the past there has been some letters, or I'm curious what has been sent to the city in the past over the last 4 or 5 years in regards to asking them to take on the responsibility that they've kind of set aside in regards to finding an appropriate place.
Chris, can you answer that? You've been on the board for a long time.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I wasn't anticipating non-board members at this point.
I was just, I'm on the land use co-chair, and I was just asking in regards what in the past, what had been done in previous letters to the city, asking them to I guess, step up to the plate and work on finding a new location.
Yeah, okay, that's a long, complicated question because this has been going on for more than 5 years. When Hazelnut Grove first started, it was the intent of the city and the mayor's office that it not be allowed to stay there at all. Charlie Hales had his challenges with homelessness, and the property was sold to the Oregon Department of Transportation. It had been Portland Bureau of Transportation property at the time. And part of the hitch for why it's never been legally sanctioned to be there is that the land was purchased using federal transportation dollars as a staging area for construction of the Fremont Bridge. And because it's federal transportation money, it can only be used for transportation purposes. And a shelter space or homeless camp doesn't qualify. So under the Hales administration, the neighborhood met with the mayor's office and city attorneys and representatives of Hazelnut Grove to try and work out some sort of an agreement where they could stay there for like a year or two tops and then relocate. That went on for about 6 months, I would say. The chair at the time and myself were engaged in that. I thought we made great progress. It seemed like we had a good agreement, but Hazelnut Grove backed out then and said they would not agree to any timeline for departure. So fast forward, Charlie Hales is out of office. Mayor Wheeler comes into office and says they need to go, but first we'd like you to engage in an attempt to develop a good neighbor agreement with a mediator. And so we went through that process, and that lasted for several months. And again, I think we were making great progress until the Hazelnut Grove representatives violated the terms of the mediation process and started independently negotiating with the city, and the whole thing fell apart. Throughout all this and over the years, Hazelnut Grove at times has sent people to be a representative at our meetings. A member of Hazelnut Grove was even elected to our board. And historically, each time they came, they would come for 2 or 3 months and then stop coming. And at this point, it's been at least a year, maybe two, a year or so since we've really heard from anybody down there. And I think the good intentions of the original Hazelnut Grove have slid by the wayside in what we're seeing down there now, with kind of a lot more accumulation of garbage. The vehicles parked there despite the joint office telling them they shouldn't park vehicles there, and so on. So there's more to it. There's a long, complicated history, but I hope that gives you a sense of where everything has been over 5 years.
Okay, thanks.
All right, any other comments from board members?
This is Cassie. Would there be a potential for delaying this letter until the end of, or a wider release of vaccinations, and to the point of being more in line with a health situation? Because I do understand there's a lot of neighbors who are concerned about the location of it from a fire safety and a wildfire risk standpoint. But I certainly agree with neighbors who are concerned about the pandemic and the weather and it being winter. So I understand with it being poor timing. And I understand from a standpoint of not wanting to move people who don't want to move, but I also understand and am sympathetic to neighbors who are living on that hillside and are concerned about wildfire. So I'm wondering if there's a way that we could rewrite or delay this letter with that in mind.
So I think the letter as it stands actually kind of builds that in, because what we're calling for is for the mayor's office to make good on their promise. And the promise is that once Hazelnut Grove residents have an alternative place to go, that the Hazelnut Grove site would be closed. And with the call from the mayor's office today that the St. John's Village isn't going to open until February 1st, and the intent of the mayor's office then is to slowly phase out Hazelnut Grove, it wouldn't happen. They wouldn't go in with bulldozers on February 2nd and bulldoze everyone out. It would be several months of getting the people that remain to shelters, to other service providers, and out of there, and gradually dismantling. One element of it that was described by the mayor's office today was that they would, they kind of wait for the leases that they have on the fencing and on the dumpster and on the porta potty to all kind of run out and phase out. So the letter calls for removing it once everything's in place. That's probably not until summer anyway.
Do we want to, I know the major concern was timing. So do we want to put something more specific? I mean, I kind of echo Cassie's question, push it out a few months, make sure that, I mean, that's listening, that would seem to be the biggest concern was the timing. And so I'm wondering if we want to put something in here to, I agree with you, Chris, it wouldn't happen for, till the summer, but do we want to make sure that it doesn't, right? Do we want to put something in there regarding?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could easily ask for verbiage that says that, close Hazelnut Grove in a timely manner, cognizant of COVID-19 concerns and weather or seasonal issues.
Okay. Any other comments from board members? I'm going to see if somebody wants to make a motion. Okay.
I will make a motion that we adopt this letter and send it to City Council and other relevant stakeholders.
Are you adding the city councilors onto the list there with Ted Wheeler's name?
Yeah, they're in the et al.
Yeah, I would put actually their names. I think that's
yes, we can certainly add all their names on there. That's no problem.
Okay, Chris has made a motion. Is there a second?
Oh, sorry, and the motion is with the addition that Cassie requested.
Second.
So the motion is with the addition to not do a move till the summer, as well as add all the commissioners' names. Is that the motion?
Sounds right.
I seconded.
I think Brad already seconded it.
Okay, Brad seconded.
Seconded it. I can't say that.
Seconded.
Seconded it. Any further comments? The board members. Okay. Any opposition by board members to sending a letter with those changes? All right, no objections heard. The motion passes. All right, you guys. Thanks for your time. I appreciate all of your comments. We will make changes to the letter based on the timing issues that we heard from you. Okay, I'm going to go back to the agenda. Oops, if I can figure it out. All right, everybody. Remember how to share. Okay, now are you seeing my Zoom password? All right. Brad, I know we are a little bit behind, so we might hopefully, but I wanted to give everybody time to discuss. Brad, you're up on member engagement.
Yes, thank you. I realize that, yes, controversial topics will generate lots of engagement, but we've also discussed in the past our struggle to be able to contact people usually through email. And how do we get those emails? So a couple things that I wanted to check on. We have folks who continue to sign up on Nextdoor. It's, you know, it's 5 to 10 a week probably. But it's enough people. And sorry, I gotta mute the chat so that I can't see them at the same time. There, I gotta take care of. So that's one thing is, are we capturing those folks and making sure that they're at least invited to take part in the list? The second one is more challenging, and that would be if we actually want to spend a little bit of money to for mailings to like postcards. You could spend a lot of money doing that, but I'm not real comfortable with that at the moment. But so I just wanted to kind of have that discussion as far as ways to make sure that we've got email addresses and that we can make sure people are aware of meetings and things like that. So,
I know we had the chairs meeting yesterday, and we did briefly talk. We had this discussion, kind of. I think everybody is struggling with this. One of the things that they talked about was potentially putting into the bylaws, you know, requirements for diversity. So that might be something that we discuss. And then they hadn't come up with really any other ideas. So I think they're still working on that as well.
so are we capturing, or at least reaching out to the folks on Nextdoor who are signing up through that?
Giving notification of board meetings, yeah.
Well, no, actually, are the folks who were listed in Overlook on Nextdoor, do they receive email from us like our weekly blast?
No, the people who get the weekly update are the people who sign up, but when people do send questions or express interest, I do send them that to sign up for that email.
Okay, but so we're not offering to everybody who signs up, we're just offering to folks who ask for it. I'd like to get to the more proactive part of that and actually reach out to them and say, here's how to do that. So that's,
Well, I think one thing that helped really well this time is just posting more on Nextdoor. I think a lot of people turned up to this meeting from Nextdoor. There was one specific person who put out about the letter, and I think that's where a lot of these people came from.
Yeah,
except for Sam. Sam says nope. Nope.
yeah,
Sam came from someplace else.
And I get that the postcards
It's a
are
racist application. Thank you, Sam.
I get the postcards are an old school approach, and we've already put stuff in the Overlook views, and we also have Facebook information.
So all these people that are commenting tonight, how did you get the information? How can we get you the information? All these people in the chat, if they're not getting it, so you want us to use Facebook. People want us to use Facebook to announce meetings and get people to sign up for our weekly events.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about getting them in touch so that we can reach out to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out all the people that showed up tonight, where they heard about it and how we can get them to engage more as opposed to just showing up to one meeting and complaining about everything we've done for the last year.
There are about 7,000 people in Overlook, I believe. We'll see when the census comes out.
Yeah. Somebody said 12,000.
Yeah, that's high.
So I wonder if we want to, put I'm trying to think of the best way to do this to get more comments. Do we want to send out something in our Facebook and ask how to get more comments, or send something out on Nextdoor and in our weekly update and on Facebook, and what else is there, and try to figure out where people are connecting the most. I mean, we should,
Yeah.
it might be good to do like some
Well,
kind of a study.
some people keep saying like posters, like if any of you people would like to get posters from us, I would be more than happy to print out posters if you want to go put them up on telephone poles and ask people to come to our meetings. We've been trying to do that for a while, and I'm trying to figure out how we can engage in everybody. I mean, I think everybody has an opinion, but it seems like so many people are technically challenged. I am including one of them, as in, you know, you see, you can only hear me. You can't, you can't see me. I don't believe in the visual, but
So I know Doretta, are you still on? Are there best practices for posting? Posters? Maybe you're not on anymore. I'm putting you on the spot.
she might have left.
She might have left.
I mean, I think we post as well as we can and try to get people to attend. And it's only when we have a fairly volatile topics such as parking at Adidas or homelessness or the Max line that people actually come to these meetings and want to be here. As somebody who has been involved in the neighborhood for, you know, 34 years, it's frustrating.
Okay.
I
It
think
sounds
that-
like
still here.
potentially.
Alexander, Doretta, I'm still here.
Oh, there you are.
There you are. Hello, Doretta.
Yeah, I just had hard time finding myself to unmute me.
Are there, I know we had talked about this yesterday in the chairs meeting, and I know it's really hard to get people to get involved unless there's an issue that people are passionate about. But are there any best practices for posting, you know, externally, somehow getting information to people besides Facebook and LinkedIn and the email blast?
You guys are using the things that people mostly use.
Yeah, okay.
You know, getting creative suggestions from all these people who are concerned about that is a great idea. Because there are people who don't do things the same way as everybody else. And the more we know about that, the better you can reach people.
Yep. Okay. So maybe one thing that we do is, well, we'll continue to blast those three things, and then maybe we can put up some test flyers in some locations. And I am, by the way, going to copy all these suggestions here that people are writing. So we can
encourage
for
folks
the
to
next
get
meeting, we'll-
encourage folks to get involved as well. Because certainly is a volunteer board. We have limited resources, both time and money, but certainly no shortage of offerings. Great, but that's we only have so much we can do, and try to get as many people as possible with limited resources. It's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Here, Casey is the homeless committee, and a bunch of you are speaking and wanting to help Hazelnut Grove. Why don't you contact Casey and get on one of his meetings and help out with that? We have a lot of people who want to speak out for them. Join Casey in making this happen.
Yep, and be committed to it.
We did have an outreach committee last year. It didn't really go anywhere. We had a hard time getting people to attend.
We had a hard time getting people to manage it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So if anybody is interested in contacting me and coming up with ideas or potentially helping not only Overlook, but other neighborhood associations with outreach, that would be great. And Chris has just given the email for info at Overlook. Mine is chair@Overlook, same neighborhood association.
Christy, thank you for a comment. A lot of things have changed in the last year, couple years. So please continue to engage as I have. I believe that you will find things have changed in the last couple of years, and we welcome you into the conversation, and we welcome you to volunteer for any event that we have. and as well as you, Siobhan.
Agreed.
All right. Well, Brad, did you have anything else for member engagement?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. I think we got a lot of ideas, so that's great. Thanks. Cassie.
Yes. I know that we are running behind, so I don't want to take up too much time on this. I just wanted to use some time to address the board about ways of working for the weekly updates that Chris has sent out in the past via email. He's done a really good job with that, and that's definitely something he excels in, is finding stories to talk about every week. I'm less good about that, so I am going to depend on the board to kind of, if someone sends you something that you think we should send out to all the neighbors, please forward that directly to me so that I can be aware of that topic. And if anyone has ideas about something to write about, please get in touch with me directly, because otherwise I won't know what to talk about every week. So that's really all I wanted to say. If you want to help out with that letter, let me know, but I definitely will need to lean on the board for ideas every week.
Hey, Cassie, thanks so much for leading us. I know it's no easy task. I had a quick question for you. Word count, typically, what, something pretty short and sweet, right? I mean, nothing too robust.
Yeah,
right?
we typically, and Chris, I know you're on here, so pipe in if you have anything to say, but from the ones that I've participated in, they're usually short introductions, and we oftentimes link out to a story from the broader city.
Yes, that's right. Either to, the city or whatever the source is. We try and keep it short in the email and then link to additional information. Cassie, you're checking the Gmail account, right?
I don't think that I have the info. I was talking to Alex about this yesterday, and I have let me check.
I think you have Overlook NA.
Yes,
Gmail.
I have that one.
Go auto forwards to that, so I'm going to put that here in chat for everybody. If you want to reach Cassie with ideas for the newsletter or to volunteer to help with assembling stuff, it's overlookna@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. Yeah, I mean, it would be great to have this be more participatory for sure. I know Chris has been doing it and he's been doing a great job, but he's been heavily involved in creating the stories and coming up with new stories all the time. So it's nice to have it if it would be more participatory. So
thanks
everybody.
Cassie, are we good on views content for this month or for this quarter?
We can touch on that. I've reached out to, based on our last board meeting in December, the stories that we talked about doing, I've kind of reached out to people. We could probably use another story or two, because I believe that Marcy said that the timing won't work out for that story that we had talked about. We'll have to put that back to the next one maybe. But so if there's any other topics, we can certainly bring those up.
Hey, Cassie, I'm wondering, given the import of Greg's report about on the letter, the air toxins and the effect on the Overlook neighborhood, could we have an article? Maybe Grant, could you write that about the work that's being done in the letter and the danger of the toxins coming into the neighborhood?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
It's a good idea.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Anything else on that?
I just saw a note on the chat saying put the subscription link in a more prominent place on the website. And it's buried, so I can look at that and see if there's a better place that we can put that on the website, but also on the views. I think someone mentioned we've put the subscription link in views before, but I wonder if there's a better way. So on this next paper newsletter that we send out, I can try to address that too.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Mhm.
Good idea. And we can post it on Facebook again and post it on Nextdoor.
Yeah. I would like to say, and without reopening the whole discussion, one reason we backed off of Facebook is we were trying to figure out where to focus our energies, because there are so many places to try to maintain content at this point. Obviously, that has its downsides, and so that's one reason why Facebook wasn't getting the attention that it used to get, is we decided to go towards Nextdoor. So I just wanted to bring the folks up to speed on that. That's not me.
Somebody's getting a phone call.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I just muted it.
Can you bring up the spreadsheet?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes.
Thank you.
As soon as
So
I find it.
we're not doing the Treasury update. It's not a Treasury. It's the Treasurer update.
Sorry.
So I got the
Hello,
spreadsheet.
Bo and Jen.
I got the
Can you please-
spreadsheet caught up. We hadn't been doing, because of COVID, everything. We hadn't been doing much lately, but things have picked up in the last little while. So this is current. For folks who may not be aware, we have a large number in here, partly because of decent stewardship, but partly because we received a large payout from PGE for a legal settlement regarding them putting a tower in and ran it up the hillside into the middle of Overlook many years ago. And so that's where a lot of this money comes from. So this is broken up into sections. You can see up at the top the news and communications, and I've been putting all of that in there. Then things are quiet down there in trees, where we have some money, parks, we have some money. And if you continue to scroll down, movies in the park, Cynthia's award is in there. So that is for the future. And Patton Square has 9,000, so that's a third of the money right there. We still expect the city might come looking for some money here eventually, but they haven't yet. So that leaves about 14,000 in our general flow in what we have at this point. We are getting some money from Kroger and Amazon, as I did put in there. So, and that actually is doubled a couple of times. So anticipate that'll be some money over time. Questions?
Just an announcement. We have Overlook Neighborhood Association bags if anybody wants to buy one.
Nice canvas bags. What are they, $10 a piece?
Yeah,
And how do they get it if they want one?
just contact me.
Alex, how'd that come about?
What, the bags?
Yeah, the bags.
Oh my gosh, that was a couple years ago. We were gonna sell them to make some money for the 401c during movie in the park, I think.
Okay.
And I think we might have done some, and then COVID hit, and then we just kind of had to put them in the garage. Is that what you're asking? Or are you asking how we started?
Yeah. I just, I don't remember seeing it, and also it's here, so curious. But okay, thanks.
Yeah, and then I thought, oh, it might be nice. People might want to have them for Christmas, so then I put it on Nextdoor. So that's kind of how we sold a couple. Yeah, they've been sitting around for about a year.
All right.
All right. Any questions? Any questions on this? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Mhm.
Okay, general meeting. So we have a general meeting scheduled for January 19th. Does anybody have any items for the meeting?
Have we made progress on the Adidas moving back in and the parking zone around Adidas? Do we have information for this general meeting?
Not for this one. We'll have it for the next one.
Okay.
We've been in contact, but we haven't had a official meeting yet. We were planning on doing it after the new year.
Thank you.
That was Lee.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, I figured.
Do we have any?
Anybody, have we heard anything on land use? Any other
Yeah.
buildings going in
No.
that we need to present on?
No, nope, we haven't received anything.
Okay. No new land use. We just did sustainability. Any other sustainability topics?
I'll be working with the Portland Harbor collaboration group, but I'm still waiting to get some more info on that. But there might be an update later on.
Okay. Brad, any big transportation topics that we would talk about?
Other than I just saw the 405 closure for the Flanders Street overcrossing installation. That's going to be a couple weeks from now, so I'll send that to Kathy to send in or to put on the weekly blast. Adidas, the traffic signal is now working. The old one is out. The curb lane cycleway is looking kind of permanent, but what I don't know yet is the configuration, and that's what I still have to figure out through a very long, detailed email.
Okay, so no agenda items for the.
Not for this.
Okay. All right, do we have anything for a general meeting? Otherwise, we can postpone it till February.
Hey, Alex, there was a question. You know, is the public able to propose agenda items via email? It's not. Okay. So I guess the answer is yes. But it doesn't look like we have enough content for a January meeting.
Potentially not, but we can do it on the, unless it's time sensitive. Otherwise, we can put it on the, if there's one that's time sensitive, we can do January. We can also do just a short January if public has, if anybody else has any agenda items. I just want to make sure we have something.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to the discussion about the garbage service and trying to make things look nice, and at least litters picked up and that kind of thing, because it looks like it needs to happen and it's not happening quick enough.
Okay, well, let's do this. It sounds like we could have some topics for the January, so let's keep it, and then we'll just see if it's short, then we'll make it short. How's that?
Okay.
Any objection to that?
No objection.
Okay. Okay, board reports. We're almost, wow. We've caught back up. Board reports. Does anybody on the board have comments or an update?
This is Casey. On the homeless side, really two, maybe three updates, but one is I forwarded on to you a note from, oh boy, I just had it up here. Forgive me, the Johnny Lewis from the city of Portland, and discussing updates on the homeless and Clean Start program. So make sure that you call your attention to that. Okay. And again, the purpose of the homeless update committee is not an outreach committee, but it's an update committee. So outreaching to all different parties to get insights and understanding what's actually happening. I have outreach to Hazelnut Grove and people who are, my understanding of a participant there and actually went down there. I have not received any information. So those who said we do not reach to them, I have, and I'm not getting any word back. And then the other aspect is I am participating in the North Portland Doers Gathering. And that is essentially a community of North Portland communities, families, and individuals sharing thoughts and broader perspectives of issues facing their neighborhoods, but more specifically on homeless. So I'll keep you apprised on what I learned from that end. And then still seeking others to be a part of this committee. I think I have one candidate who just moved into the neighborhood, so that is good.
The doers meeting, do you want to put that information? Do you have a link to that in chat? I think there's a lot of people on this call that might be interested.
Sure, I will. Let me get that information here. I will do that. Just give me a moment now. I'm using one laptop for Zoom, the other laptop.
No, take your time.
All right, so I can do that. So that's it on my side.
Okay, thank you. Other board members, updates. I'm gonna find you.
I told the board last time I would look up the interstate urban renewal stuff, and I'm happy to report that they are, it was to expand the indebtedness. So they're just increasing their budget to put more funds to the urban renewal. It's up to the city council right now. I think they're expanding it to the next session. They took testimony and everything. I really don't, in my opinion, I don't think that it's something that really we would need to be involved with. But yeah, any questions?
Do you have
the rules are kind of the rules, right?
Yeah, do you have I'm just curious if you've seen a summary of the comments. I mean, were they for the projects that were being proposed, or was it all contentious and stuff?
I was watching the video since everything's online, especially, and it's really long. I thought that the proponents, people for the increasing 67 million, it was pretty significant. I think there were a lot of people, a lot more in favor of extending it. They didn't necessarily go into specifics. They have a breakdown. I think it's something like 40 million of it is going to go towards housing. The other portion is going to economic, business-oriented things. And there were people against it, but I think it's going to pass. And I think it was, in terms of the Bureau, before it went to the City Council, it went very quickly, passed very quickly, and they said it was the shortest meeting they'd ever done.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Brian. Grant, anything else?
Just a minor quick comment about the interstate corridor.
Yep, go ahead, George.
And so for a long time, I've been kind of laboring under the misconception that it involved mainly Interstate Avenue. And that's not the case, really. It's I-5. They say interstate corridor, but they should say I-5 corridor. And that's what it also includes the area down around the Rose Quarter, and they're retroacting, looking at the displacement stuff, and including in this idea of capping the freeway and actually making it sturdy enough to put buildings on top of and whatnot. And so they're just kind of chasing their tail on that one, I think. But that's typical, and it sounds like they're going to go ahead and put it through. So thanks, Brian, for checking that out. I saw that little blurb either in the Oregonian or possibly Willamette Week a couple of weeks ago, but it's I-5. Thank you.
Well, it's even further beyond that. It's a lot of North Portland. It's north of Lombard. It goes east. I kind of think of it more as kind of Albina as well. That Albina district on the west part of. There's a map on their website, but we actually Overlook isn't too big of a portion of it. There's parts of Swan Island that are on it probably for the economic reasons. But I think, I think we've benefited from it, our neighborhood. So certainly.
Yep. Well, in the past, there were some things that were supposed to be more directly beneficial to Overlook and whatnot, and especially having to do with freeway overpasses and things like this. And as I recall, when we went to a couple of the meetings back when the ICRA was still active, that they simply passed on the decisions were made on high to take the funds that were going to go for that and put them over more toward MLK Boulevard and a few other projects on the east side of the freeway, and that it was a done deal. So they weren't putting it to a vote. They were just saying, this is what it is, and that's what it is. And it wasn't long after that, really, that they just decided to disband that committee altogether. And it wasn't by a vote of the committee to disband early. It still had money and whatnot. They just said, well, we're going to have it go someplace else. Thanks for your help, but don't call us, we'll call you. And they never did. So would you say that was about it, Brad? Kind of?
Yes. Yeah, it's advisory, just like neighborhood associations are advisory.
Yep.
Yep.
And when they don't like what they're hearing, or they feel that what we're doing is not in the better interest of underserved communities, then they can do what they want. Which brings up a whole nother can of worms anyway, but I noticed there was something in the lineup, and I have no idea how to make that. Mingus Maps, was he in here temporarily, or somebody that was from his office? Does anybody see that?
Yes, there was.
Matt?
Matt.
Yeah, as well as
Matt Gratzky.
Joanne Hardesty's office.
Okay.
Oh, I thought that was Mingus Maps. No, Kristen Johnson was Hardesty's office. Matt was Mingus.
Okay. Yeah, because I falsely assumed that Mingus was going to be getting the community
Matt's still here.
Civic involvement.
And Kristen's still here. Sorry.
And they got reassigned. So it's going to be Hardesty. So
Hardesty
when in doubt, change hats and play musical chairs. I have no idea.
Hardesty picked up Peabot from you daily. And Mingus has a number of Mingus picked up you know what, actually, Alexandra, could we have Matt and Kristen explain what the new commissioners or the commissioners departments they have, so I don't misquote them?
Matt, Kristen?
Hello, everyone. Matt Glazewski from Commissioner Mapp's office. I also live in the University Park neighborhood, so go North Portland. We have the utilities. We have the Bureau of Environmental Services and the Portland Water Bureau. We also have the 911 call center, BOEC, BOEC for short, and the Travel Portland portfolio liaison as well.
Cool, thanks. Kristen, there you go.
Hi, everybody. Kristen Johnson, I work for Commissioner Hardesty. So we have PBOT, Fire, Civic Life, and Fire and Police Disability and Retirement Fund. We have several liaison responsibilities. The Portland Mall Management, Portland Aerial Tram Board, Portland Streetcar, Joint Policy Advisory Committee on Transportation, the Local Public Safety Coordinating Council, Regional Disaster Policy Organization, Fair and Moral Claims Committee, and the Gateway Center for Domestic Violence Services.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, cool, thank you. So now you guys know who to talk to if you have an issue with some of these things.
Thank you for coming.
And thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, you guys. Any other board members have any updates?
Well, just one last thing. I think Michael mentioned that we're going to come up with kind of general questions. And if anybody, for developers and for developments.
Mm-hmm.
And
We have them, right? You're going to use the ones that we have or build on those?
well, I recovered one. It's from, I think it's from Arbor Lodge.
We started one, didn't we?
Julia,
let me go find it.
Well, if you have it, email it to
Okay.
the land use, but I think it'll be just kind of a working document that will keep going, and feel free anybody to add or email us and communicate with us to add anything or yeah.
Perfect.
And
Okay.
Brian, the only other thing I think we chatted briefly about in the past was following up on the housing, on the 8-story affordable housing project, and generally going down the list of what is allowed and what is happening. It seems as though they're following what they're allowed to do within the zone currently. So I think the concern was the 2 items we were going to look into was solar and parking study if they had to do it. And I have not been able to find if they are required to do a parking study, but it's not a loophole. They're just building it because it's affordable housing and they're allowed to build what they're doing based on that. That's kind of.
Is that the one on interstate in Alberta?
That is actually the one on Jessup in Minnesota.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we haven't gotten any notification of the type 2 design review or anything. So, you know, there's.
I don't know if they're required to send it through to us. I think it's part of it, but I haven't seen anything.
They should be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did see since it's transportation, Anna asked about the drag racing issues. Which are challenging, and with our police force so stretched and stressed at the moment, I think that they're extra challenged playing. It's not quite cops and robbers, but close to it with the drag racers. They certainly do get around as I see their swirls in the Freddy's parking lot at Peninsula yesterday. That was interesting, considering it was on private property. But I haven't heard of too many of the giant issues now that the weather is bad. It's been more one-off drag racing up and down going, but it seems like it's been an issue. And you can certainly, call them into non-emergency number if they're going and they're more than one time and they seem to be going up and down the street. Absolutely go for it. Thank you.
Colin, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad. All right, if there's nothing else, I put 2 links in the chat. One is to, I'm not going to talk to them because I'm not an expert. One is to changes on Lombard. And that link that I have in there is just a fact sheet. So it has a summary of what the changes will be on Lombard. They're going to put in bike lanes and they're going to put in the center turn lane. And then the other one is
one stretch. One
stretch.
Of, okay,
one stretch.
Not the whole thing.
Exactly. Sorry. One stretch. Yes.
It's outside our neighborhood, but
it's outside our neighborhood. But I figured since it's
take a
lot
look
of
at it.
Here from other neighborhoods, I would put it in there.
Wouldn't that be Kenton and Arbor Lodge that are concerned with that one? I think.
Yes, correct.
Yep. And the other one, this one is also in Arbor Lodge, I believe. Yeah, Arbor Lodge. This one is shelter where that old Rite Aid used to be, Lombard and Denver. So just because there were other people on this call, I thought I would put those in there quickly. All right.
I let it slide by. There's really nothing to report as far as the Public Safety Action Committee meeting going. Akimi and Judith are still working on that one. And because of the commissioner change and whatnot, it's probably going to be even a bit more delayed. So I wouldn't expect anything until latter part of February or March at the earliest. That's not from them. That's just me guessing that it's getting pushed out a little bit further. But information will be coming to Alexandra as chair of Overlook. I made sure she's still on that list. So if anything does come up as far as a Zoom meeting or anything like that, or request for public input, it'll get
let you
to
know.
us. Thank you.
Okay. I have not seen anything, but if I do see anything on the safety, I will
Yeah.
post it. I'll post it in
Okay,
next
thank
door, and then also try to get it on Facebook. Cool. Thanks, George.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Last call. All right. Well then, thanks everybody for attending. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your thoughts and your concerns and your efforts. So
Thank you.
I know everybody works
Thank you.
hard, so I appreciate everybody. All right. Thanks, you guys. Have a great rest of your night.
Good night, everyone.
I'll check in on
And
Georgia.
I'm wondering, is Chris phoning this in from Ohio? Is he still here?
I don't know. He probably left. Maybe he went to bed.
Oh,
Because he's 3
Yeah, I
hours
could-
ahead, right?
Yeah.
is Ohio? Is he in
3 hours.
Ohio?
No, Chris
Yeah.
is here.
Is he here? Okay.
He didn't. Yeah, I thought he said his move was delayed a few months. Chris.
Really?
He's not on anymore. It doesn't.
Okay.
We'll pester him offline.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.